Been
All
studying
right,
Snap.
one more minute, guys, then we'll get started.
You do anything, any Snapchat, Dan?
No, Snapchat, mate.
No? I've been studying a little
No.
bit here, just to, like the marketing. I like the way they're doing like their stories lately. I can see some future potential there for sure.
Yeah, look, I can see the potential.
Yeah.
It's hard though with all the noise that you've got already going on day to day.
Oh yeah, I mean you got to be everywhere when you're doing it. I just know
Yeah.
that every morning when I wake up, I watch the National Geographic little Snapchat story.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's
Very cool.
what that's for.
I've been really starting to focus down on Instagram as well. Like that's been something that's evolving since Facebook's taken it over. I'm really enjoying that at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Instagram is definitely a beast of its own. It's a
Yeah,
good place to play, though, for sure. Lots of people getting rich on Instagram.
for sure, for sure. All right. Well, my clock's just ticked over. You
Oh,
reckon we
cool,
might
cool.
get this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I can see people piling in here. It's good to go. So, guys, welcome to the webinar tonight. I am Travis Patel. You're here with Dan Nikas as well. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that I've just started to really implement in my system, my business, and that's going international. We've been building e-commerce stores here for about 2-3 years, and then platforms with Teespring and all that good stuff. And we've been U.S. based only. That really was because all of our fulfillment options in the beginning were really limited. You could only do U.S. based, or you could choose international. It'd have to be a different fulfiller, and you couldn't have it all in one system to really work together. And our whole system since the beginning of Teespring, kind of the bubble rose, things have really adapted. We have so many more options now to control every piece of it, and taking a product that's had success and something that's worked for you in the past, and then expanding it to other countries that you haven't tried out yet, that has worked really well for us. And then not even taking past winners. If you're just a newcomer, you've not been able to have much success in the United States, there's a lot of opportunity in Europe where the competition's a little bit lower. You have pitches that pop out there. Maybe you know the market a little bit better. So the international market is very powerful. And, I'm not the expert at this. Like I said, I'm just starting to really apply it to my system where we have those fulfillment options. So tonight I have Dan Nikas who's here, and he is the one with Luke there who launched the EUcom system I've been talking about lately, the one I've been going through, really learning how to expand out to those international markets. So Dan tonight, he's going to be kind of jumping into all their techniques, kind of showing you how they're able to really crush it in that market. So Dan, thanks so much for being here tonight. I'll let you go ahead and take over from here.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Just to answer you, buddy, this is going to be recorded, so this is going to be, available to you all afterwards as well. Just a little bit of a background. I probably got started around. Sorry.
You click record just to double check.
Yeah, I've double checked. It's being
Good
recorded. Yeah. So I got started I was more into affiliate marketing, and then when Teespring came around in about 2013, I got involved probably around the same time Travis did, and through a mutual friend, Don Wilson, he sort of really introduced a lot of us to this. I started, like everyone else, started doing everything in the US, doing all my print-on-demand stuff, only targeting the US because they had we had great training on how to target people in the US. A lot of it was sports-related. A lot of it was American interest-related. Then in 2014, early 2014, I found a copycat who was copying a hugely successful campaign of mine. And at this stage, I hadn't even heard of the platform that it was being sold through, but I was being targeted by it. The platform was actually Fabrily. Now, those who don't know, Fabrily was the European equivalent of Teespring. Teespring has since bought Fabrily late last year, and they have their European fulfillment over there. I contacted them about getting rid of the copycat. They approached me and said, "Hey, why don't you try selling over here? Have you ever tried selling on our platform?" And since that day, I really haven't looked back. What I did find, and what you can see on this slide, was a lot of unknowns to me, was that, there's actually more people living in Europe than the United States, and more people on Facebook than there are in the United States. Now, these statistics are from 2015. And what I found was that Europe was relatively untapped, and it was because all of the training provided was about the US. Everyone in the US speaks English, whereas there's this huge barrier to entry, so we all thought about the languages that are being spoken over in Europe. Now, the other thing is that we couldn't particularly target interests well. So what I did find, whilst it was harder to target, when I was starting to run ads into Europe, and initially all I did was the UK, because that was the path of least resistance. There were English-speaking, a lot of common interest between the countries, you know, between the United Kingdom and the US. And what I did find is because there was less competition, my cost to advertise there was so much cheaper. I'm talking CPMs that were under $1 at the time. So, you know, I'm hitting over 1,000. I'm hitting 1,000 people for less than $1. So, you know, and then I started expanding out and finding more and more and more countries that I could target, initially only in English, and then I, you know, started to venture out into other languages, and we developed, myself and my partner, this system where we were scaling, you know, products that we had and designs that we had on print-on-demand things, so that we could go from English versions to French to Italian to German to Spanish to whatever we wanted to do, and it was just this whole worldwide network that we could distribute to. So, you know, there was a few issues that I want to take you through today that I sort of overcame, and that, yeah, for a long time we thought, okay, well, everyone else is probably doing this, and it took us a while and a bit of convincing to come up with this course, because you know, we had this awesome system that was working so well that we didn't want to expose, you know, the world to it. But then, you know, people, you know, had been so helpful to us over the years in terms of getting us started. We thought it was probably time for us to start giving back a little bit to the community that has brought us so much success. So what I want you to do for this webinar, we're going to go for an hour. By the end of this webinar, what I want you to be able to do is take an existing campaign that you have and launch it into the United Kingdom, and I'm going to show you how to do that and the common mistakes that people make between taking their campaigns from the US to the European market. And then I'm also going to show you how to change that campaign, that design that you have, into another language, and how to target people in another language in a different non-English speaking country. So they're the two things I want you to take away. And I can simply teach you those two things in the hour, and by the end of, you know, the next 24 hours, you should have campaigns running in Europe, both in English and non-English speaking countries. So I just want to get an idea off you all at the moment. We've got some really good, you know, people are attentive at the moment. Let's get something in the box there. Who is actually actively selling in Europe at the moment? Just give me a 1 in the box if you're selling in Europe.
Yeah, I bet it's a pretty small portion.
So far, I have 1 person.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do. We have 2. I just want to get an idea of. Nope. Hi guys. Hi Liad. Yeah. So yeah, I've got 1 selling on Amazon. So of all the attendees here, we've got, it looks like, 3 people that are selling in Europe, and one of them's just selling through Amazon. Chris only sells in Europe. All right. Okay, Trevor said he's been thinking about this a lot this week. Crazy, this way we found my inbox. All right. So for the other 99% of the people in here that don't sell in Europe, and for that 1% that are selling in Europe at the moment, what I want to do is I want to show you our system for actively going into the European market. And this is something that you can take away. It's not going to take much work. This is just something, a small part of the course that we offer, that you can take away and start using. I just want to give you some value to show that this isn't impossible. This isn't this big unknown that people need to avoid all the time. So, our biggest, one of our biggest campaigns that we've sold worldwide is this one here. Now, some of you might have seen it before. Now, it's a bit of a mishmash of a couple of things, and since we did this slide about a month ago, we're well up over 10,000 sales for it. Now, this is a parody of the Sons of Anarchy, and it's targeted towards older bikers. Now, that's you know, that's a niche that we're in, and throughout our course and our system, we use live examples. We don't hide anything in there. What you see is what you get. You see exactly what we do day to day, and if you follow it, you'll be able to do what we do. So this was one that we launched in the States, and it had moderate success, but we really got massive success when we were selling it in, we started selling it in Europe. And we were selling it in France, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, the UK, and Ireland. So this was one that, when I say we had moderate success within the States, we sold a couple of hundred of it. I said to my partner, why don't we try it on Fabrily over in the UK? And at the time, these stats come from another platform called Teasily, because at the time, Teasily was the only one that had the payment processing that Germans and the Dutch like to use the most. So that's something else we go through in the courses about how different payment options for people. So this was the one that really sort of exposed to us, you know, it was a moderately successful campaign in the US, but it exploded over in Europe for us. And this was a very profitable campaign, and some of you've probably seen it floating around over the years. It's been running now for, I think, about 20 months, and it still sells to this day because we've got a potential audience of millions and millions and millions of people. We're not just saturating one particular country. So, you know, how did I get this over to the I'll show you how I started in the United States, and then what I'll do is I'll show you how I took it over to the UK and the mistake that a lot of people make. All right, so when I initially, you know, when we are going through, a lot of us, within the course, we show you how to do this, but it's a very common way that we find interest within audience insights. So these are the ones, these are the interests that I know sell well in the United States. So what I'll do is I'll just take you through live, and I'll just wanted to do this just to give you the example of why this doesn't work over in the UK. I don't know why they didn't all copy across. They should have copied across for you. All right, so look, you're seeing the actual interest that we use within the US. Okay, and they get us a reach of 2 million to 2.5 million active people. I've been selling to these particular interest groups for years. Gives us good demographics, gives us good information, even gives us good purchase information about the online spending methods as well, that sort of stuff about the US. Okay, now this is the big problem that people have, is that the first thing is Facebook doesn't buy user data for Europe. It only is US consumer behavior based on purchase activity. Okay, so this is the first thing that we need to be mindful of. Facebook don't buy data over in Europe, so we need to be a little bit smarter. We can't just rely on us putting an ad up and Facebook optimizing it as much, because they don't hold all the same sort of data that they do. They buy all the data for the US, but they don't for Europe. I believe they are going to, and it'll get released soon, but soon to Facebook could be another 12 months. So, I know this sells well in the US, and you've probably done the same. And then what most people do is they do this. They go over to the United Kingdom, they put it in, and they're like, oh, shit, I can only target 30 to 35,000 people. It's a tiny audience. And this is where most people, they'll either do one or two things. They'll either think, stuff it, I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to waste my time trying to target 30 to 35,000 people. I know these sell in the US, I'll just keep selling in the US. The next thing is that they'll try, but they're going to exhaust that audience really quickly, because they're only targeting 30 to 35,000 people, and there's only a certain portion of them, as we know, are actually going to buy. We've got about 5% that click through, and we've got about another 5% conversion on average on our landing pages to buy the product. So you're not going to get a hell of a lot of buyers. Even if you've got a really successful campaign, you're still going to exhaust that audience fairly quickly. So what you need to do is you need to start that process again. Okay, now just go through and treat each country like it is a new research project. Okay, so get in there, get your big broad interest to start with. You're going to get a really big broad interest. We're not going to find any there. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to go through and find, in those particular countries, I like to find celebrities within that niche. It's a good way to start, or magazines within that niche. So you just get onto Google, just Google motorcycle riders for UK. One that pops up very quickly is a bloke called Guy Martin. He's a public figure over there. He's a rider, a motorcycle rider. Okay. And then what I did is you just keep digging through, going through, finding the ones that have the higher affinity. Okay, treat it like you would have done the American-based research, and you come up with what we've got here, which is, I'm not going to waste your time going through them now. Okay, now we have, these are all our interests that we target within the UK. So if you went and put these into the US-based targeting, some of them would have some following, but there's not a hell of a lot. A lot of them are specifically related to the UK. And you'll see now we have 1 million to 1.5 million monthly active people. And that makes a hell of a lot more sense, doesn't it? We know that there's more than 30 to 35,000 people over in the UK that are interested in riding motorcycles. We're just not targeting them correctly. So simply, step one of this webinar is the path of least resistance. Take an existing successful campaign, target it to the UK, keep your ad copy in English, keep your keep your design in English if it is a design that's in English, and target the UK. Get it over there. I target it as a whole. I don't break it down to Scotland, the part of Ireland and Wales and England. I target it as the UK, and I find that it optimises very well there. So if you're got a provider that ships to the UK, if you're doing print on demand, there are so many that do it. I know Don's Gear Bunch targets across there. We'll send across there. I know that the Teespring does across there. A lot of your drop shipping now through AliExpress you'll be able to do from there. And look, you'll be able to find, and we go through it in our course, there's fulfillment companies over there that you can ship your stuff from China and get it fulfilled through a fulfillment house in the UK. So we split our stock between the US and the UK, and we have them getting fulfilled in both, if that's the physical product we're doing. Print on demand, there's pretty much everywhere now, which is good. So Trevor's asked, would you use US dollars or pounds in your ad copy? I don't put the dollar amount in the ad copy, and we'll go through what the ad copy is in our course. But I find that I like them to click on through, and then that way, once we've got them there, we can do a lot more with them once we've got them on our site. A lot of them will click through to see what the price is, to see what the quality is, whether it ships to them. But once they get onto our site, we use a theme on Shopify, and there's also an app that you can use that actually converts it into the relevant currency amount for the country that you're targeting. It'll pick up the IP address of the customer that they're coming through from, and it'll convert it into that currency for them. So does anyone have any questions, and I really hope that you don't, about complicated questions about how to actually target your existing successful campaign in the US and take it across to the UK. The UK shoppers prefer .com or .co.uk. I don't find it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Look, this is the thing, is that we tend to get too hung up on the little minor details. If you put the right product in front of the right person at the right time, they're not going to care what the URL extension is on the website. Like, that's, it's about evoking a need, or satisfying a need, or solving a problem, or just flat out making it impossible for them not to impulse buy something. So, we're not talking about selling a car to them and, developing that trust and that relationship with them. We develop a relationship with them down the line because we want repeat customers. But that initial, it's like a pattern interrupt. We need to just get something that we know that they're going to like in front of them. Any delivery times any issues with delivery times from AliExpress to Europe? No, you just need to be very open about your delivery times. And this is part of the course that we go through, is how to test products to see whether they will sell. And then what we do is we do them buy in bulk and get them to a fulfillment house to cut down the delivery times. But as long as you're open with the customers when they're buying it and price the product accordingly, that, hey, you're going to have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to get this product. If it's something that they want and the price is right, they will wait for it. Because the alternative is walking down to a bricks and mortar shop and paying sometimes twice the amount for it, and the inconvenience of having to go out and get it. That's what you need to balance up. But as long as you're open with them, then no, it's not usually a problem.
Yeah.
So we've got another question. For non-English speaking countries, do you translate pages and also in customer service in their language? All right, we'll get to that, Don. That's what we'll do is just concentrate at the moment on the UK. And if anyone's got no further questions about that, what we'll do is I'll move on to how to target or how to research to find buyers within a non-English speaking country. Have you got anything you want to add before we move on, Travis?
No, you're covering it good. I mean, I like to start in the UK first as well. A lot of things that work in the US easily translate, easily connect with the UK market as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now, look, I'm not from the UK. I'm obviously in Australia, and I believe New Zealand's very similar. But the world is getting smaller because of the online presence that we have. So a lot of what is topical or trending in the US trends here in Australia as well. And I assume that the same thing happens in the UK. It's just there's no language barrier. We watch a lot of the same television shows, the same movies, we follow the same celebrities, we watch a lot of the same sports. There's some things that are specific to each country, but it's your path of least resistance. It's the easiest way to scale, and there's not a hell of a lot of competition. The CPMs are low, like I said, and the cost per click is low as well. I saw towards the end of last year, everyone was complaining about the cost of advertising while the election was on, and shit, it was expensive. But you know what? Just get out of that marketplace. If it's not being profitable, go somewhere else where there's not that competition. Yeah, you were paying like $13 to $15 on your CPMs, and that's just not a profitable way to run a business where you're selling items for smaller margins, not tiny, but they're not. You're not making $100 to $200 margins per product, so you've got to have a CPM rate that's justifiable to cover your costs and to actually make a profit. So we just got right out of that marketplace, and September was our best month for the year, and everyone was in all the online communities that we're in. People were really down. People were really starting to get down on themselves and were really starting to complain and have all these worries that, oh my God, the system's broken, it's not working anymore. You were just operating in a very competitive marketplace, and we just moved. September was our best month for the year, aside from December now. But, this was a time when people were saying it's their worst month ever. It's the worst month ever they've ever had of all time. So, this is a really big opportunity to get out and across there, guys. And you'll find that, be one of those that takes a bit of action. We're going to have quite a few people are going to join in on this course, and they're going to get in there. You're going to have a percentage that will walk away and say, and they're going to still put it in the too hard basket. Then you're going to have another percentage of them that are going to get into our course, and they're going to look at it and go, oh, this is still too hard for me. And then there's going to be those action takers that actually do it, and they're the ones that are going to benefit from it big time. So be one of the action takers. Don't be one of the ones that puts it in the too hard basket, because trust me, it's not too hard. I'm just a dude from Australia who doesn't live in Europe, but don't live in the US, and I've managed to develop a system to do it, and I'm willing to show you how to do it. It's not hard. So what I'll do, again, if we go back to the interest that we had pumping in the United States, okay, I'll just grab them up again, and I'm going to show you, again, the big issues that people have when they go across to a non-English speaking country. Now, I'm quite happy to show you this is the way I run the course. I'm not, we run our systems. I can't stand when you finally get into, and Travis is the same. He's very open. I can't stand when you get a course and half of it is hidden from you because they still want to protect their secret sauce or their secret recipe. It's a matter of just being open and honest, because it's such a big marketplace that you'll see our interest, you'll see our ad copy, you'll see our designs, you'll see the products we're selling. There's nothing hidden. So look, again, we've got 2 million to 2.5 million in the United States. What happens when I want to target somewhere like Germany, where I know that bikers, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people that ride motorcycles. Again, I put it, and you look at them, you think, oh, Harley's Owners Group, that's huge. Chopper Exchange, that'd be a big one. And these are in the millions, these interests over in the States. But you bring them over to Germany, 10K to 15K. You're like, man, again, people just go, no way. It's obvious because they don't speak English. They're not going to, they're not going to be interested in our products. I'll leave it alone. But what we do, think of each you're not going to get audience of millions in these countries over there. They're just not the size of the US. But like treat them like a state within the US, I suppose. If you broke the US down into states, but treat each of them individually. You know, Germany's got different interests to Italy's got different interests to the UK, different interests to Spain. So what we need to do is you need to become one of those customers that you're trying to target. So this was frustrating the shit out of me when I first started, because I could not figure out why I couldn't target people in non-English speaking countries. And I was just sitting there one night and I thought, you know what, it would be as ridiculous as someone in Germany targeting me, trying to use German interests, using German ad copy, using a German design. It would just be totally lost on me. Sure, there'd be a few percentage of people here sitting in Australia that might speak German and read German and think that is the best thing they've ever seen, but it's going to be a pretty small percentage. So it just needed to get out of this headspace that the world all speaks English and they should just revolve around, you know, our methodologies and our way of thinking. So I just thought, well, what about if I just put in and just try and target people based on in the language that they speak, and something as simple as a Google translation, which is obviously a free service. You suddenly just do it, and a lot of you will probably kick yourself when you see how simple this is. So we'll take those out. We put those in. All right. Now, we put in motorcycle, and it came back as Motorrad. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I apologise to any Germans on the call, but the first thing I see here is this Motorrad magazine. Now, that is a great one to target. Why? We all should know within e-commerce that if we have customers that are interested in what is a physical product that's related to our niche, if they're liking it on Facebook, there's a more than a good chance that they're actually buying that physical product in the real world. So what we've got is we've got like a pre-qualified customer. We know they like motorcycles, and we know that they actually buy at least one thing, or more than likely buy one thing that is a physical product related to that niche. Okay, that should make sense to everyone. It's one thing to have a passing interest in a niche, but to actually, and this is why I love targeting magazines, is they're buying a physical product. And that's what we're trying to convince them to do again. So when you look at this now, we like to target other interests that have an affinity over 13 as a minimum is what I found works. And you can see here we have quite a lot that are over 13. I do like to go into like this 1000psi.at. That looks like a good one. It's good following. It is always a good idea to go in and make sure that it is a German-speaking page related to your interest. Excuse me. Just wait for it to load up. And as you can see, straight away, we can see this is a motorcycle page, and it is in German. Now, would you have found this if you were only targeting through your targeting with the States? No. Okay, it's in German. You can see the translation. Sometimes the translations are very goofy. To the most interesting and most courageous models of the upcoming season. Yeah, so basically it's talking about the new season of motorcycles that are coming out, of the motorcycle racing. So can you put a 1 in the box if you can see the benefit of how simply we just put there's lots of ones going in. You can see how simple it is. Holy shit, everyone's saying 1. That's great. But you can see you never would have found this if you just kept going through the normal research process. Well, you could have found it, but the chances are a lot slimmer. Whereas if you put yourself in the mindset of the consumer that you're trying to target, then this is the way to do it. Now, someone just asked, why not use worldwide targeting? Why not use worldwide is the specific reason that I won't use worldwide targeting is for the example that I just showed, in that we have people that are interested in the same niche, but their interests are specific to their country and language. Mm-hmm. So how do we, it's what we're doing is we'll create a design in German and target that to the Germans. We will redo that design in Spanish and retarget it to the Spanish. If we're targeting worldwide, what language are we going to use? Yes, we could use English, but how much of our ad spend is going to be wasted on, one, countries that can't afford to buy our products, two, countries that just aren't interested in buying our product, and a lot of money is going to get burnt through while Facebook tries to optimize your ad to try and figure out who the hell's going to buy it. Facebook can't tell whether the design's in English. It just sees that it's a product, and this is what the interest that you're targeting. Makes sense, but does Facebook not work all this out for you? No, Michael.
Yeah.
If Facebook worked it all out for you, there wouldn't, you wouldn't need to do anything. All you'd do is you'd say, I'm not putting any interests in, I'm not putting any age group in, sex or country. I'm just going to put my product up and get it out there. Now, if you're a multi-million-dollar company with a brand and you had millions of dollars behind you in spending, I'm sure that after a while Facebook would optimize it for you. But we're talking about putting, very small margin products up that we need to either test to see whether they'll sell or not. Facebook will burn through a budget before we get to a point where it's optimized it for us to try and figure it out.
It's best to separate groups that are going to interpret a message differently. This is why we separate genders often. It's why we separate age groups. 55 to 64-year-old interprets a message differently than an 18 to 24, and it's the same sense of thinking worldwide, where your message may need to have, one niche may have a different cultural representation in one country than another. So your message has to be tailored to who you're speaking to at all times, and that definitely comes in case when you're going across borders.
Yeah, and the other thing is even just the type of ad that you use, and we go through this, but the difference between using a video ad on someone who's 65 plus and using a video ad on someone who's 18, the uptake of them there's a huge difference. A lot of 65 plus year olds only sit down in front of their computer for a short amount of time to look at social media, whereas an 18-year-old has it permanently connected to their head and they'll watch all the shit that comes up on their phone. So it's about just having, being aware of who your target market is and actually, appropriately trying to sell to them, get that message across to them.
Yeah.
All right. So look, that's, very simply how we go and target, another country. So what I want to give you now is I'll show you a document that we have, and this is how we translate. So you can go on to something like Fiverr, and there's so many translation services on there, and what they'll do is they will go through, and I give them quite a few. I don't have to log in for it now, but basically everyone knows what Fiverr is. Go into Fiverr, give them quite a few design translations that you want. If you're not the designer, don't use Google Translate to translate your shirts or your designs or whatever it might be. Don't use that. Okay, it's a good way to do your research, but sometimes the actual grammar or the sentence structure just doesn't make sense. So go across to Fiverr, find one that's got really good ratings, it's done a lot. That's how we started out. Get quite a few of your designs or product messages translated, and then get your designer to redo them, or if you're the designer, redo them yourself. If it's just a matter of changing the text and not coming up with a new design layout or new design imagery or a new product layout, then it's nice and easy. Just changing text, they can punch out 10 variations in 10 different languages within a day, and that's, in effect, it takes away that issue that you have, that sometimes you have this creative block and you're like, well, what the hell can I sell to my my market next in the States? You've exhausted this one and you've got another one going all right, and then you think of a few others, but what if you took that one English one and you translated it into 10 different languages? It's like having 10 new designs targeting 10 different countries, so it's a great way to scale out. So what you need to do is next step is we're starting to target them in German, but you want to have your ad copy and your product descriptions in German as well. So what we have is we use templates. Now, we went and paid quite a few €100 to have use a translation service that translated a lot of our different ad copy translations, like tag someone that needs this into German, our retargeting ad copy translation, product description translation. So our general shop translations we use Shopify, but if you use WooCommerce or whatever you use. So give me a 2 in the box if you would like to have this translation guide for German, so you could translate your ad copy and your product descriptions.
Definitely. That's a 2 for sure.
Alright, let's drag and drop that file in there. Fucking fire it. You'd think 2 screens would be enough, wouldn't you? Alright, now I've just put a handout in there. Oh, an error's occurred. Hang on, I'll try it again. Looks like it might be uploading. The internet in Australia is not great, so don't ever complain about the internet where you are. We are shocking with our internet. Okay, it's not letting me drag and drop it as a file, but what I'll do is...
we'll upload it to the server, and you can we'll share the link with the replay.
Okay, so it's because you have it open. Oh, thanks, Trevor. All right, let's try that again. Genius. All right, Mel said New Zealand is not great. Thanks, Trevor. You've just saved a nice there. Yeah. All right, so just let me know. Just put a 1 in the box there if you can actually grab that. I
grabbed it.
Grab that handout that we just dropped in there. It's German.x. It's a word-based doc. All right, you're getting it now. Okay, so what we have is, this is how we then target. And if someone's asked, like, do you have a website that has all the different languages? So what I'll do is I'll show you.
Yeah. Now you guys actually, in the EUcom system, you have 12 of these, right? 12 languages broken down.
Yeah, so what we do is, we keep adding to it as we sort of migrate across. And you can see here, this is in the back end of our system. And I hate courses that don't have a resource section, which is why we have all this. So this is all the different languages that you can actually go through and download from. All right, I've got a couple of questions there about the business structure. What I'll do before I answer those, the first question that I got asked was about, the structure of the site. So basically, what we do is this theme that we run on here on ours is that it has it automatically picks up the IP of the user and it translates it into that country, and it also changes the currency. But within our course, we've got an app that's in there as well. That is not our app, but the developer has given us a discount on. The app's called Langify, and what it does is you install it in there, and if your theme doesn't do it, so it's only some of the premium themes that do it, but if you've got a basic theme, you install this app, and it changes all your product description into, I'll see if I can find you can see we sort of got a bit of everything in here. A lot of shirts because they're our best sellers. Let's go search. Again, you all now know that we run Biker Booth. This isn't, I'm not hiding anything from any of you. I'll just see if I type in German. Just trying to find you a German one that would. And you can see we sell these products all around the world. There's jewelry, there's shirts, there's all different bits and pieces. There's GPS. Just trying to find one to give you an example of. Sorry guys, just bear with me. Here we go. Here's a German one that we run. There we go. All right, now we've got this one set as a permanent description in German because it's a German-based design. And this is a variation of one that we have in English that sold very well. Everything's in German here. When this will change when they come through to our page, and I'll show you within the course how that actually happens. And that one's in German. So that's all we've done is take our ad copy from here that we've got, okay, and basically you can see that we've taken stuff from our product description and brought it straight across to here, okay, and that's like a permanent description there because it is in a different language. But if someone from a different country came in, our theme would pick it up. If they're from an English-speaking country, it would translate that into English, and the design would still obviously be in German. So I'll just go through some of these other questions we've got here. that were very specific. What about the business set up to start selling in the EU? Like in the US, we need an LLC. You just need to have your business established in the country that you're in. So it's as simple as that. I mean, you can sell around the world. You just need to be registered in the country that you're operating from, and just make sure that you speak to your accountant about the different laws that relate to you, you know, when selling overseas. You know, taxes. I know what they relate to. I know what they are in Australia, but me giving you advice about how I set up my tax structure in Australia for the business is going to be so different to the US or so different to Russia that it's really not worth going into. But as long as you've got your business established in the country that you operate from, then you'll be fine. How do I handle comments on Facebook in other languages? That's a tough one. Now, what we do is we generally ask people to provide comments to us in the language that, you know, we ask for like a 2-word comment when they like the product in the language that they speak, and then what we do is we run a bit of software that we've got that replies to them in the translated language that we have. So on the bigger campaigns, we will hire a VA that does speak the other language to monitor those campaigns. But on the smaller ones, as they're getting started, most of it is just a 1 or 2-word comment, people saying like, hell yeah, they like it, or whatever it might be in the particular language. And then we reply to that comment using a piece of software that we recommend that is so good, and it actually just we reply in the language that we're targeting. Is it translated in the checkout page too? Yes. For the currency app, it displays, say, in euro, but is that the currency they check out for your stores based in the US? No, they check out in the currency that they're based. So when I go onto a website, you know, when a European person goes onto the website, it's going to come up as EU. I'm from Germany. The whole shop biker booth is still in English for me. I thought it would be German since I'm using a German IP. Could you please explain that to me? I've got the Langify app turned off in there. So what I've done is we've created a whole separate German category, and we've also got an Italian category and things like that as well. So so we've started to separate the actual campaigns within there. The way they're thinking is that if someone's likes a design and it's in English, then more than likely they're going to be able to speak English as well, which is why we've kept them separated in there. It's too difficult from India, but we'll check. Rohit, I'm not really sure what the question is for that. So has anyone got any questions about how they can take a campaign that's in English and get it across to a language that's non-English speaking to a country like Germany? No one's got any questions? It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, in the course, what we go through is what you'll find is that there's some interests that just don't. You know, I was trying to target fishing in Italy. Now, when you type in fishing in Italy, you get millions of people that are interested in fishing. However, when you you go and you try to find specific English to target about fishing in Italy, you get nothing. So, you know, there's a few barriers there that come up. Even when I was looking in different languages, I was Googling in different languages trying to find what works. And we just could not simply find interests. And this is what Travis was talking about. We've got another method that we use to create our own custom audiences of people that are interested in these niches. So I've got a question from Kyle. In line with what Travis said about separating groups, when you redesign, is it as simple as replacing text flags, or do you also change certain references to adapt to foreign cultural clues? It depends, and it does. Sometimes we have to change it. Sometimes they only work in English, and you'll see on this one here.
Yeah,
we tested it in a different
product you're selling too. Just, I mean, if you're selling T-shirts, it's a straightforward message every time. But if you're selling,
so sometimes the message just doesn't translate well. So like we tried this one, we sold it everywhere in the thousands, just in plain English, targeting non-English speaking countries. But then we tried it in a different language, and it just didn't work. We sold 82, and the ROI on it was terrible. And what we found is that this message, it just didn't translate well. A lot of people knew the Sons of Anarchy, you know, parody and the show, and they liked it as it was in English. So, you know, it didn't translate well at all. So that one we changed. This one here, which we had selling well in the States, it was a massive seller for us last Christmas, and it's still selling well now. We changed it over into every language we could think of, to the point where, and this is only a small portion of them, you know, the layout was the same, but you know, the language, all we did was change the language in all of them. But if you've got a product in a niche that works, like jewelry or you know, even some of your more physical products that you've got, not shirts, they're designs. It's easy. Trevor's just said he's seen that hoodie. Oh, geez, I'm just reading through some more questions here. What I'll do is we'll to save some time at the end to go through some more questions. I'll just take you through sort of what, because some of the questions might be answered with what we've got here. So within our training that we've got, and we've got a pretty active Facebook group as well that goes along with it, is, and I apologise for the slow load time, it's because I'm doing this. Kyle's just said, you guys did that, man, I saw those everywhere. Yeah, those hoodies and shirts were everywhere, and I don't know where you're based, Kyle, I can't remember, but, you know, they were around the world. They were hitting Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, even parts of South America. We did them everywhere. So basically we've got 27 lessons that we've got in here. We go through how to digest the course, and it's a real step-by-step, everything from the way we research and find hidden buyer interest within there, to the designing and testing of products. You know, you're saying, does it take too long to get delivered there? What do you do about, you know, the different languages? How we find different interests to test. I've showed you some of those strategies. There's a lot more in there. I have resources linked for the translating. We're big on sublimation at the moment, being a bit of point of difference, and we show you how to do that, and we've got a special offer within there for the supplier of that. How to find fulfillment centers around the world, finding the correct suppliers, and then how to set up your Shopify store so it does translate, so it does have the currency conversion on it, so it does have the right taxes and things like that on it for you. And then I go through how we do, and this is sort of the gravy of the course, about how we actually create custom audiences and why. You know, you saw this particular, and we show you the case studies of it. You saw this particular design here. A lot of people saying, wow, I've seen that, that's cool. We had so many copycats, but they weren't selling anywhere near what we were selling because we weren't just using the interest that was spat out by Facebook. We do that to test, but this is where this is our point of difference. This is stuff Travis was talking about that he was using to get those campaigns going well. So it's how we use different lookalike audiences and create different custom audiences. We've even got an ugly Christmas sweater tutorial in there. Some of you might recognise this one. We've got a case study here of taking 3 products that aren't even our own, about how we would take them across into non-English speaking countries over into Europe. This one's about a design that was very simple that we just changed and replicated over and over and over again, and none of them were huge sellers, but altogether they made a lot. This one, how we sent it worldwide, and the Sons with Arthritis one that we took from the US, and we'll show you how we scaled it into Europe.
Yeah,
so
how you guys use the look-like audiences definitely opened up my eyes for it. Just expands the reach so much there. Now, if you guys want to check that out, you can go to kingpinning.com/EU system. Dan's going to go a little bit more there, but actually, I don't think I can message on the chat here, Dan. If you could post that.
I'll just post. I'll grab that link for you. Excuse me, I should have had it prepared earlier.
Where are the chat box there, and the webinar here in the chat.
You'll put it. Yeah, have you? Do you want to just message that to me, and I'll pop in?
Yeah, I sent it to you, so got to do it to the chat box.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, no problem.
Got it. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to copy it across if it lets me.
Yeah, those look like they worked really well. We just had we've been selling to cows and pigs and all that farmer stuff for the past 2 years, and so many buyers have accumulated on the Pixel that we were able to do all these lookalike audiences from the thousands of buyers that we've had on the U.S. and really started to take off well just on all those other farming countries out there, which is pretty much all of them.
Now, guys, this is I'll just log out of this. I'll just show you what else we've got in here for you. Did everyone see that link that it came up there within the questions box? Can you just give me a 1 if that link popped up for you? Cool. All right. Now, also, perfect. I'll post it again so we don't lose any of those questions. In the resources section, wow, it's slow loading today. I'll open up the group coaching there. All right, so in the resources section, this is where we have all of our all the tools that we use to do our research, to find ideas for products or new designs. Our translation services, this 1 hour translation is the one that we use, and this is, this is the one that we spent all the money on to create those translations for you. The fulfillment companies that you can use over in the UK, the different apps that we use, we take you through the setup of our Shopify store. You don't need to use Shopify to be able to use this course to its fullest ability. We just like the control that, having our own website gives us in terms of, currency conversion and having the different languages and being able to separate them on there. And then the different resources we use to build our Instagram and Facebook pages. In the group coaching calls, there is the replays here of the ones that we have. So we held some webinars when we released this a month ago, and we will hold more as well. But this was like, how to get shirts over to Europe, how to get jewelry over to Europe. We've got the mugs, hoodies, and some sublimation stuff. So we've got some really cool stuff in the works as well that we'd like to push out as well. So, some more of your customized products and different kinds of apparel that you just create that point of difference that we'd like to give the people within our community to be able to use. So when you click on, I'll just go out of that. When you click on the link should just logged out, you should see this page here. I'll just post that link in there again. Alright, this is the page that you should see. Okay, it's EUcom Systems. There's another full review there of the whole course that we go through. I'll just go through. If you're happy, Travis, we can just go through and go through some, if anyone's got any questions. We're going to cut the stack up here.
Yeah, definitely some questions.
Alright, I'll just go through the questions in order as we've got them here.
Yeah.
Do you retarget email campaigns in specific countries in different languages as well? Yes, use the same service that that you'll find on Fiverr. They'll translate them, and they charge you per word. So, hey Ronnie, not now. Not at the moment. Yeah, so we get the email campaigns going out, especially with our abandoned carts or when we've got a new product. You get a new product one list, you get a new product campaign, a new product template for your campaigns, and you can just get them out there. We use MailChimp as our email autoresponder, and within that we can segregate our lists into different languages. So it'll pick up the IP address of where the person's based. So we've got lists for, within our niche for Germany, for Italy, and this it proves to be hugely successful. Instead of just wasting, your time sending emails out to everyone, we hit people in their language. It resonates more with them. The message is a lot more specific. Do you have problems with taxes, customs in specific countries? No. Do you just sell what's working in the US, or you try and find what's trending in European countries that are non-English speaking? We do both, and that's the thing, is that we're not big on just selling US-based products. We look at what's trending in the other countries as well. Like, there's some things that just And this coaching call, this resource, oh, it's in the training. There was the one about a lot of a little goes a long way. That was a specific sports-related, interest that was only in Europe. It's just not big in the UK. In the US, and that was something that would never sell in the US. So we absolutely grinded it out in the UK and all over Europe, actually. Has anyone got any other questions about this? Have you discovered new techniques from advertising abroad that you were able to replicate in the US? Yes. Good question, Kyle. Now, this was the problem that we were faced with, like I said earlier. Not that one. Where is it? Audience Insights. When you look at this, the purchase behavior, it's only US-based data. It's not, and you can't even click on this purchase button here. You can't even click on the household because it's all US-based. So I developed a system which is part of that, sort of advanced strategy we've got in there to fill in those information gaps. I hated not knowing whether these people spent money online, or how would Facebook figure out whether these people want to buy my stuff. Yes, they're interested in it, but everyone that's interested in it's not going to be buying it. So I was, constantly trying to figure out new ways to try and target them. And then what I found is that I found this way to do it, and then I figured that this would probably work really well with the data that Facebook holds on the US, that if I layer it with the information that I've got, that I've effectively bought, then it's going to be super powerful, and it is. It works so well in the US as well. So it'll work all over the world. So, like we talk about the EU, and that's what this course concentrates on, but any non-English speaking country that has a decent economy, these strategies can be used on. Has anyone got any other questions? Doesn't seem like it.
They're all uploading international campaigns.
Yes. Maybe.
Hope so.
Have I tried targeting Brazil? Yes, we target Brazil. Brazil's one of the different ones. It's it's one of the economies that has grown a lot in South America, and we do target there. Do you have different suppliers in other countries? Yes, it depends on the product, but we've got suppliers in Europe, we've got some suppliers in Australia, we've got suppliers obviously in China for a lot of the products when we're testing them, and also the US as well. Do you use a flat shipping rate? No, we go through that in the course, but basically, we've got an international shipping rate and a domestic shipping rate, which is the US-based one. And those shipping rates, you can create rules within Shopify, and we reflect, whatever the shipping rate is that we have to pay. We cover those costs. The customer covers those costs for us. So, for example, if we're drop shipping out of the United Kingdom, then that shipping on that product is going to be lower than if we were drop shipping out of the US, sending it over to the United Kingdom, if that makes sense. So it depends on the products, and we just create rules with our shipping rates for the different products, depending on where the product is being sourced or sent from. How many people do you have in your team to manage all the efforts? We've got 8, but this started as just my partner Luke and I. Now Luke's not on the call now because it's the middle of the night and his little boy's a bit sick. He's the designer, I'm the marketer, and we've been running this system like this for quite successfully for 18 months, just with the two of us. We had a couple of VAs that were doing stuff like, doing some very basic design work to try and keep the production up, and also we had, some doing some very basic data entry work for us. But it can all be done on your own, or you and a designer, or you sourcing product yourself and doing it. It was only when we decided to scale up that we actually, started hiring more and more staff to be able to keep up with the demand. But it was definitely very profitable when it was just Luke and I working on it. Out of the 8 people, how many are there for campaign management? Just me. I do all the campaign management. That's my role. Sorry?
That's a tough position to outsource for sure. Not many people in this game, you're not going to be able to outsource the ads too often.
No, it's look. I've got a worker that works in house with me that will launch ads using our system, our testing system. But scaling up, out, and down, no way. That's just something that that's what I like to run. It's our money, and that's what I get up and do every day.
Yeah.
And when you develop systems, it's not as daunting as you might think, and we've got those systems within EUcom system for you. It's not a daunting process. Okay, Amazon is trying to establish a presence in India. Have you tried it as well? No, I haven't tried India as well. I'm ready to buy. Do you have a coupon code? No, I don't have a coupon code. Sorry, Kyle. It's just the price that we've got there. Initially, this was sold as a $997 product and sold well. We just wanted to open it up to bring more and more people into the market, into the course to sort of spread more and more out. What have we got next? Do you suggest sticking to T-shirts for best conversions? No. What we did was T-shirts was the game we were in to start with, so we had a lot of good products that were flowing really well. In this space when we decided to start our own Shopify store. So what we did is we brought our best-selling ones across to the stores, and we've continually added physical products to them. But T-shirts are good. Clothing's a necessity of life. People always complaining that the market might be saturated, but you know what? People grow out of clothes. They put on weight. They lose weight. Clothes wear out. They see something new they like. No one has just 1 or 2 T-shirts they wear every day, and we're always buying more. So if you can put a killer design in front of the right person, they'll buy it. And it's good conversions. You mentioned China. Where do you advertise, i.e. which platform? I don't sell in China, George. I just have suppliers in China. Chinese or Mandarin is not a language that we have ventured into. We've really stuck to Europe and South America for our variations of languages there. Hi, Alex, the webinar. No, the webinar's been going for an hour, Alex, but it is recorded. Do you have customer support? We do the customer support as well. We've got a VA that does our customer support, but what I find is that, we don't have a hell of a lot of customer support to worry about. Most of the time we give them tracking IDs, well, not most of the time, all the time we give them tracking IDs in the emails that we send through to them. Sometimes people, contact us and ask, why, where's my product? And all we do is simply search the tracking ID for them and post that link to them and say, hey, go and have a look at this. What spy tool do you recommend? That's all within the course, Olaf. It's not just one particular spy tool. What we do is we use various different tools and follow trends. How's sales in Australia and New Zealand? Sales in Australia and New Zealand are okay. Probably the biggest barrier with Australia and New Zealand is that the cost of the dollar, like the conversion of the Australian and the New Zealand dollar as compared to the euro and the US. Sometimes it's a bit of a barrier, especially when you have not supplying from Australia, which is why we've got a distributor in Australia now to try and cut down on those costs and make the products more affordable. Previously, people were paying, when it converted over, you were paying nearly $40 for a shirt and another $10 for shipping. You're paying $50 for a T-shirt that it just really wasn't, economically viable for you. So, how do I deal with payment gateways and PayPal bans? I haven't had my PayPal account banned. We don't run anything that's against the terms of PayPal. We've run successfully on there for years now. Payment gateways, that's all within there. Stripe's a really good one for non-US based people, sellers like myself and a lot of you guys. If you have a video ad in English, do you translate in the languages where you target? The video ads, I don't put the video ads in are you talking about I don't know if you're talking about the content of the video. If you're talking about the content of the video is just the product and usually music. I don't have too much talking in them. If it's a video ad, yeah, I'll translate it and send the video ad across into that other language, that other country. All right. What else have we got? Just trying to... Payment gateways, PayPal bans. Look, we're not doing anything in terms of service. That's probably a big thing. People are worried about getting banned by PayPal because they don't like drop shipping and they don't like this and they don't like that. But the thing is that we're only, and this is another question we've got here, we're talking about more solutions, of course that's for drop shipping. The solution we have is to test the product. If the product sells well, then buy it. Buy 500 to 1,000 units of it and get it to a distribution center. That way then you're not drop shipping. You've got a distribution center that's going to be distributing it for you. You can put your own branding on the packaging, and it's a much better sell than something coming from you know, an AliExpress provider, which is what we use to test our dropshipping products on, and it's coming, you know, through China Airmail or, you know, AliExpress Post or whatever it might be. Yes, it does get to them, but it does look a little bit on the cheaper side, which is why we just test it to start with. And we talk about all those processes within the course, about how to test the product, test it fast. If it works, get a shipment over to your supplier, to your distributor, and start distributing it with your own branding on it within, you know, the domestic market that you're targeting. Not too bad. $50 is like an hour's wage. Okay, that's, yeah. A lot of the people we're targeting, it's a little bit too expensive. The $50 in Australia. Do you consider Shopify the best platform? I can't sell on there and currently use BigCommerce. Look, any e-commerce platform is going to be fine. Just the examples we use, there's a lot of apps and things that are available for the translation conversion, you know, translating and the currency conversion. If you just within your, if you use BigCommerce, then just have a look and see what solutions there are for you, you know, within BigCommerce in terms of apps or plugins that there is. I get a lot of failed payments from Stripe for US buyers. Can you suggest another merchant? No, I use PayPal Express and Stripe is what's on our sites. I don't use any others, so I can't sort of offer an opinion on any of those others. Sorry, Alex. Okay. Any other questions, guys? I just want to, yeah, I just want to make sure that you get this link again, so that you know exactly, you know, how to get entry to the course. Again, it's, oh, thank you, Sarah. Sarah says she's bought the product. Have you ever tried English language only in Germany? What were the results? Yeah, definitely. That's what we did with this one. We tried this one in German. It bombed, but still keeping English worked well. So it's just a matter of testing your product or your design or whatever it is you're trying to sell. You know, there is a lot of scope. There's a lot of, this one just didn't translate well into other languages, so we kept it in English and it worked really well. And I guess when you think about it, it's a parody of an English-speaking show, which most of them are watching, and the emblems and stuff like that are in that particular language. So like once you're in there, what we do also offer is we've got an active Facebook group. We do hold regular webinars, as you've seen in those group coaching calls, where we'll invite you all along, get you in there. We're going to tell you what's working now for us. You know, we'll update videos, but we'll tell you different things that we're testing, you know, different apps that we've installed on. Before we update the actual course content, we'll get you on a call and we'll show you what's going on. We just have live Q&A. And do you talk about custom merchandise platforms in the UK and the EU? We definitely do. We've even got a special deal for you know, all over print stuff in the EU. Yeah, so we use a lot of custom merchandise stuff. There's also a lot of US-based providers that we use, print-on-demand providers that do it. Are you driving as to your Teespring or your Shopify store? Both. So we have 3 Shopify stores. We also run on Teespring, Gear Bubble, and Teezilly. So we spread the love depending on what we're doing. You know, there's different reasons why we use different platforms. Some of it is the merchant facilities on those platforms. Sometimes it's just testing products. It's just easier to test a product or test a new niche out on a print-on-demand platform before we start integrating it into our stores. You know, cause, we've got one general store, two niche-specific stores, and obviously we test a lot of things all the time. As a noob, would you recommend a platform like Teespring, etc., or go ahead and create your own niche store, Shopify? I wouldn't, look, if you're totally new, I wouldn't recommend going ahead and creating a niche store on Shopify. I think your better option is to create a general store on Shopify to start with, and then when you start having success in that niche, then you can scale it out. Within that niche, you can rebrand it as that. I find that you know, if you want to test out little things here and there, see how they flow over in the EU and things like that, not have to worry about payment gateways, Teespring is a good option. So is Teazilly, so is Gearbubble. Geez, there's lots of good options. What would you suggest there, Travis?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Sorry, I was just the question was, as a newbie, would you recommend going on a print-on-demand platform like Teespring or going ahead and create your own niche store like Shopify? I suggested creating a general Shopify store, or if you're super green, then just trying, you know, a general print-on-demand platform like Gearbubble or Teespring or Teazilly or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you know which niche and which angle you want to go with, then it's time to open a store. General store is a great way to test all different niches, test different products, test all different markets. But if, like you said, you're just brand new and green, then no reason not to spend your first $500 or $1,000 on a platform, because then you don't have all that extra responsibility. You don't have to build a store. You don't have to make a nice sales page or anything like that. You can just worry about the product itself, and that's really the first thing you need to learn. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with starting building your own store, but if it's your first $500 ad spend, it might be good to start on a Teespring or a Gearbubble or something like that, so they can worry about all those other problems that might arise.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Kyle said, you know, you say you test with the general store, the different amounts of products and interest don't muddle up the Facebook pixel. Yeah, it's not ideal, Kyle, but when we're just, you know, when someone's testing the products with a general store, you know, pretty soon, if you're targeting right and you put the right product in front of the right people, the pixel isn't going to create too many big problems for you in terms of, you know, when you're just starting out. Then what we do is we then change it into a niche-specific store.
Yeah, exactly. That's all really the point of the general store, is to find the market that you're going to be able to dial into and create an authority brand around. So you're testing with the general store, but when you find that first niche, the product that really takes off for you, and then the second and the third one, you start to have data that you can start to create an actual store around that audience and what they like, and you'll have to be able to talk to them directly instead of really just guessing like we are at the general store or a platform.
Yeah, and again, the pixel's just part of the puzzle. Like, you know, the targeting that we've got in there and some of those strategies that we've got to get into those different countries, like, you know, no matter how seasoned your pixel is, you need to be using these strategies to the fullest potential. You know, like, you can't just go and just, you know, without zero interest, pop your pixel in and just hope that it'll sell in a non-English speaking country. So yeah, it's a part of the puzzle. And when you're testing a general store, you know, we're not talking about testing for 6 months. We're talking about you should be able to find a product or a niche that you should be able to drive traffic into for, you know, within a couple of weeks. If within a couple of weeks you're not managing to start selling something within a particular niche, then you're probably doing something wrong, either picking the wrong products or you're in the wrong niche, or there's something wrong with your targeting, and, you know, which is why, you know, we've developed these systems so that we can quickly test products so that, you know, it just takes away a lot of that guesswork. Yes, there is some educated guessing that goes on with what products to put in what niches, but if you've got a system, it takes away a lot of the guesswork out of it. It takes away a lot of the emotion. You know, especially with designers, they sometimes think, you know, like they fall in love with their designs and they just, come hell or high water, they're going to keep driving it into a niche. And you just like, and I have to say to Luke sometimes, like, man, our system is this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then other times we'll put something up that, you know, we don't think will go that well, and it just takes off. And because we've just stuck with the system, we haven't made an emotional decision on it. Are you using different ad accounts for each country to be safer for in case your ad account gets knocked down by Facebook? My recommendation is an ad account for each niche that you're in. And then we also have a general ad account that we use to test things. We run everything through Business Manager, which is in compliance with the terms of service. Not doing anything is, we're not doing anything in terms of service. We don't sell any trademark stuff. We don't copy.
Follow the rules, and you don't have to worry about Facebook shutting you down.
Yeah, and look, if they do shut you down, like at the end of the day, then there's usually a reason. You know, you've probably done something wrong. You know, so whether you've got one or 20.
Every one of us that have done this for a while have had ad accounts shut down. It doesn't mean they have the world.
No, me too. And I've had ad accounts shut down. If your ad account is shut down, then and you haven't been doing anything wrong, you will get it back. Okay, so I do have different ad accounts for different niches, but it's not some safety net in case I get banned. I'm not operating a business thinking that I'm going to get banned, which is another reason why we're also on Shopify, because we're building our own assets. We've got the user data. We've got the custom audiences, you know. We're able to retarget them. We're able to bring them across to other platforms like Instagram and Twitter and things like that. I've been waiting for someone to come over to a course like this for Europe. Perfect, guys. Cheers. No worries, Mike. What membership platform is this? I like the look of it. Oh, it's Chris Records. Smart Member, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's having a memory blank. Do you recommend... how many ad accounts are you running? I've actually answered that. Do you recommend testing it out over multiple days with a lower budget or using full testing budget over just one day? We go through that in our system in the course, Kyle. It's that would be a whole another webinar to go through the process of how we actually, you know, test products with budgets and how we optimize them. I've seen in Facebook Ads Manager that I'm only allowed 2 ad accounts. How do you get more? Do you need to ask Facebook for it? No, you need to set up Business Manager. Don't be running your ads through your personal account. Create a Business Manager account, and you can create as many as you want. I think there is a limit, but I haven't reached that limit yet, and I've got about 20.
I mean, you can ask for as many as you want. You can have 1,000, I think, is the max limit.
Okay. Trevor's asked, what is it? The platform's called Smart Member, mate.
Yeah.
All right. Has anyone got any other questions? Just to remind you, there's 27 lessons that we go through. We add to it. We've got the webinars. You know, we're always approachable, always easy to chat to on our Facebook group. We sort of pride ourselves on not just, you know, selling and running. You know, it's just not our style. I hate courses that do that, and they're not there to back you up. What is the Facebook group? Kingpinning? No, the Facebook group is called EUcom Systems, and it's this one here. You know, Craig's asked a question 6 hours ago, we answer it. I don't like people hanging there, and you know, you like to get people in there. It's good chatting. There's a good group of people in there, and it's like kingpinning. You know, it's not at that scale yet, but that's, you know, something that we aspire to, is that to have just good, solid information and a good group of people within a community that share. There's no trademark shit. There's no people like clickbaiting or anything like that. I just can't stand it. I just want a good community where people help each other all the time. And if I can't help you, then there's other people in there that will actually help you. So
Nice.
you'll see some bigger players in there as well.
Good stuff.
All right.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, great stuff, Dan. Appreciate you sharing all that.
No problems at all. I'll just get that link up there one more time for everyone in case they missed it.
Yeah, guys, kingpinning.com/EU system. And I'll be posting a replay here tomorrow morning. And as soon as, Dan, you get the replay process or whatever, send it my way. I can send it all these guys.
Definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. So the replay will be up. Go through. There's a bit of information to take in, but what I really want to hope is that, you know, some of you actually take action. Go and get a course you got and put it in over in the UK. You can do that today. You can do that in the space of the next half an hour. Okay, it's not too late to start and get it done. You know, the next step is, it'll take a little bit longer. So there's some translation done. Get a campaign you got that's going to work in a niche over in Europe and a non-English speaking country and get it done. I'd love you to get on in kingpinning and actually give us some examples of how this has worked for you, because it's just a no BS way to start scaling out your other campaigns.
Awesome. All right, guys. So I guess we don't have any more questions, then we can go ahead and call it quits for the night. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Getting about dinner time. Getting hungry over here.
All right, me too. It's about lunchtime for me, so I'll enjoy my lunch.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, we'll have this replay up tomorrow. I'm definitely going to be talking more about international selling over the upcoming weeks, just as I'm kind of playing more with it. I'll have some case studies, I'm sure, and kind of lead in there. Now, definitely go check out the EUcom system at kingpinning.com/EU system, where you're going to be able to get Dan and Luke's system, kind of the step-by-step, the 27 training videos, and all that good stuff. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you in the Kingpinning group. So once again, thanks, Dan. Hope you have a good one, man.
There you guys. Glad you enjoyed it. Talk to you all soon.